global, multicultural, multi-ethnic, multi-technic shamanism.
Synchro mystic.
Transformation of consciousness.
Such an incredible connection to this medicine and this culture.
That we can form a larger community that can make the invisible visible and touch every aspect.
We're going to come into new expressions.
Where did psychedelics come from?
The sacred mirrors were based on a psychedelic experience.
Thank you, Palenque Norte.
Welcome to Palenque Norte. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our first speaker. To kick us off today, we have Amanda Sage. She's a visionary artist. She uses painting as a tool for spiritual and planetary growth and transformation. And her paintings represent multidimensional aspects of humanness and harmonious balance. She has a lot of her artwork over in the Fractal Nation Village, and I encourage you all to go visit her over there later on. So with that, here's Amanda.
Hello, everybody. It's exciting. I'm really happy to see so many people here. I was kind of thinking at this time on a Tuesday, well, you know, it's not quite the Saturday. You know, we maybe did get some sleep last night, but thank you for coming. And I was almost in tears now through this little introduction from Bruce, and I it's just so wonderful to know the history of these. The history. I'm just so turned on by the history and to know what kind of lineage I am a part of. And that's a large part of my journey and of my talk is about that discovery of why I'm here, what I'm doing. And I feel like that's a direct reflection for everyone because I really believe we all are here for incredible purpose. And it's about finding that. And some of us know it and we go after it. Some of us discover it along the way. And my path has been very much about discovering it, it being right in front of me. And me just allowing it and learning and stepping up to the plate. And so part of that stepping up to the plate is speaking lately. And that's been happening a lot more. And Lorenzo, I got to meet him a year and a half ago in Los Angeles at a MAPS conference where I did a talk. And I'd never met him before, but I'd listened to plenty of the Psychedelic Salon series. And it was a big honor when he introduced me for my talk. And he read in my biography that I went to a Waldorf school. And that was really exciting for him. And it's always exciting for me to know also when someone else acknowledges that and knows what that school system is about. And I'm also really honored that Eden Rocks and Bobby Robb are here because the two of them have known me since I was pretty much a little kid. And it's a surprise to see them right here. I didn't know they would be here. So there's all these things coalescing, coming together, and being here 2012 at Burning Man. You know, we all went to a lot of effort to be here. And I know for me there was a lot of feeling, well, there's so many places in the world right now that I could be, that I feel like I could be really doing a lot of good. And do I really need to go to Burning Man again? I mean, there's a lot of talk, a lot of people with the whole take-it system and everything. I listen. I try to listen to where I need to be. And Burning Man called me. And I felt very strong desire and purpose to be here. And I was really, really grateful when Pez asked me to speak here. And then when I got the surprise of being the opening speaker, I felt even more honored, even though it's, you know, maybe not the best time slot, not the most people here, but to me it's really symbolic because my work is a lot about planting seeds. And that's also fertility being the theme for Burning Man this year. Is an even greater reason why I felt such the need to be here. How many of you here know about my work and know my paintings? Just a few. Okay, that's great. I have a few little prints here that I brought with me that are in little plastic and a little protected. I didn't put together a slide presentation because I wasn't sure how it would be with the lighting. And I've got so much to talk about anyway, so I figured we'd just share space and make eye contact, and this would be a little bubble of inspiration. And by the time we leave here, we'll have a few more seeds in our system that will continue to grow. So I think I might just pass around these images, and you can hold on to them, pass them on, look at them as I talk. I mean, this is a visual language. This is something that, to me, I'm discovering more about constantly as I go. It's an unfolding, eternal, limitless language that is ancient, and it's one of the oldest forms of communication too. And I'm going to give you a little bit more history on my education and how I've gotten to be where I am now, because it's very relevant, and there's certain synchro mystic experiences. I feel like that's the best way to describe them, that has happened in my life, that have been undeniably important, pointing me in a direction. And I've just really been called and had enough mentors around me to also help me to understand and also support this discovery and support the work that I'm doing. And as an artist, everybody hears this, oh, here's the starving artist, how are you going to survive? And, the parents are a little like, oh, how is this going to work? Shouldn't she get a teaching job and all this stuff and at least get a degree? I did none of that, and I'm doing all of it now. I've made my living through art my entire life. I mean, I've never had a real job in that sense. And it's just the path has continued to show me that this is what I should be doing. So I'm going to pass these around. You guys can divvy them up. So some of these paintings, most of them here are actually they're done in the past 2 years, and I'd be happy to talk about individual pieces too that are being passed around a little bit later on once you get a chance to look at them. And I am exhibiting at 3 different camps here. One is at Fractal Nation. That's where I'm camped this year, and we're calling it the Vision Seed Dome. It's a 30-foot dome that's connected to the 60-foot dome, which is the art gallery, and it's a think tank, in a sense. It's a place of collaboration, of inspiration, and what I'm really interested now in more than ever, we're 2012. We're in a place of transition. We're poised right now where humanity is right now. To make a huge change on this planet. We can do this, and I see that we're doing this, and I have this vision into the future lately that just will not leave me alone. I dream about it. I feel it, I think, more than anything. And my paintings are very much come from a place of feeling, and something, and they evolve through a feeling, and then a collaboration with the way I understand what is happening. So, and it's very much, I've learned a lot of, it's very much about channeling. And this is where I feel like the most profound work is happening, is this collaboration with the greater spirit that is here to support us very deeply. And I would like to make work that speaks to millions of people, if not billions of people, if at all possible. I mean, the integrity and desire and hope that I have for humanity is something that I think everybody should know. And I would like that to see more people come forward like this as well, and to have more platforms and mediums for this. And it's happening. The more when you start thinking about this, talking about this, you'd be surprised how many people are doing really awesome things. And you meet them in airports, you meet them in grocery stores. they're all over the place, and it's incredible. This is, and you know, when you look, the crystals and the mushrooms around here, you know, are like things that, one of my paintings, Regeneration, that's going around here with the Buddha face. There's crystals and mushrooms down there. They find their ways into my paintings. I don't know why. I just let them come. I love for other people to tell me about what's going on in my paintings and to name them. I'm very, very I don't claim a lot of ownership over them. And I would like to see work, especially artwork, and these contributions become much more open source. I'm very interested in the open source communities and bringing our resources together to really do some incredible things. And we are. That's the big joy of it. It's like, I'm not just living in the future, even though I'd say I do primarily in many ways have that opportunity to live in the future. But I am seeing what's happening right now through a lens that gets me so excited. That it's just like, it's the biggest high. It's the biggest high I know. And I have journeyed into plenty of different realms, and I do enjoy the different dances with the plants and these spaces that they've done. They've helped remind me of where I was when I was a child. And I was give you a little bit of background of the journey of my being to where I am now. I'm 34, and I was born April 19th, Bicycle Day. And I was born in Rose Hospital in Denver, Colorado. And as a child, my father was a pilot, and we lived in Florida, South Florida for until I was about 9. And I was homeschooled. My brothers were born at home. I have 2 brothers. And through this period of time where I was homeschooled, I feel like now I look back on that, and I'm very, very grateful for this. Grateful for the space that my parents, revolutionaries at the time in their community, gave my brothers and I. And there was a few families. We hung out together a lot, and we got to play and dream and draw and build and do whatever we really wanted to. I taught myself how to read. I got support, for whatever I really wanted. And the transition, we moved then to Colorado when I was in 4th grade, when I was 9, and that was a difficult thing, going into a social setting in a school, even though it was a Waldorf school. I don't know how many of you know about Waldorf and Rudolf Steiner, but the Waldorf school is it's a private school, but there's also many charter schools. They're all over the world now, and they've been around for over 100 years. Rudolf Steiner, who is an incredible revolutionary, was the one that built this system in Germany, and I love his quote: "Receive the children in reverence, educate them in love, and send them forth in freedom." And if that was just those 3 little statements there, man, if we could do that for the children of the world, we'd have a lot of empowered people running around. And I really support this system, and I support even more alternative systems, such as the Sudbury Valley School, which is something that I think is very worthy to look up. It's a school that's been around for 40 years. The original one is in Massachusetts, and there's no curriculum. And these children, kindergarten through 12th grade, they basically are free to investigate and do what they want, and they have the support there of the staff, not the teachers, to realize these dreams. There's incredible books out there about this school. So I'm more and more interested in education as I'm also teaching now. And I would love to see this conversation more within schools and within communities, and this education of knowing what's out there is, I feel like, what these speaker series are about, and these new portals of media. And thank God for the internet. I mean, the internet is this incredible tool that is bringing this community, this global family together, this global tribal family that is true. I really believe it's true. I believe we're the majority, and people are waking up every day. People are waking up by themselves every day in front of their computers, Really, they find, go on a little search here, go on a little search over there. Something pops up on Facebook. Wow, that's interesting. That never happened before. When did you got a book in your hand before? If somebody saw it on somebody's coffee table, I mean, there's a very different in the newspaper. It's much more controlled. Free the internet, keep it free. I mean, this is something that I will stand up for as long as I'm around, for sure. So my artistic career is something that was very much supported by the Waldorf School and certain individuals within the Waldorf School that recognized my skills, recognized my friends' skills, and we had this. And the beautiful thing about Waldorf is that you make your own textbooks. From kindergarten through 8th grade, you make your own textbooks. You don't learn from them. And so you create them through learning, through writing papers, through taking notes from presentations, and making beautiful borders and drawings. And it's such an incredible way to learn. And it's a way to integrate what you're learning through a creative meditation. And it's something that maybe we don't know so much. It doesn't seem like it's doing so much, but I really believe when you're painting and you're listening and you're doing these things at once, you're learning. This is integrating and into our magnetic field, into our grid that is vibrating out in a way that's so much more powerful than just if you're just absorbing something. If you're absorbing something and doing something, that I would imagine the field, if you could see it, would be pretty powerful. And I love then settings where there's a group of people doing this. This is where I really love the live painting settings, also the workshop, the intensives. There's a power that's happening that is, it's to be reckoned with. And so this is something that I feel more and more, this call to get more people to create, to go back to, if you ask a little child, or even look at everybody has painted and drawn when they were children. As a little child, are they an artist? What's that? Do you paint? Of course I do. So when did we stop? And why did we stop? And that's not to say that everybody should be doing this, should be painting or drawing, but everybody, I think, should have a creative practice and be connected to a creative practice, because it is something that is allowing a channel, allowing an opening to come through where you become a conduit. You become a conduit, and you also become an inspiration and a role model. I mean, you see other people doing this. It's a welcoming, it's an inviting thing. And this is where I'm even more like, I just spent 10 days with Alex and Allison Gray at their home in upstate New York in the New Cosm on the Hudson River, just an hour and a half north of Manhattan. Absolutely incredible place. And they invited me to come and assist in teaching their first painting intensive at Cosm. And the way they work, these people, I've admired them for years. But these people are the real deal. They're so incredible in that what they're talking about, what they're doing, and then how they're living it. I saw they taught workshops for 2-3 weeks straight, and then still had the desire and the energy and to cook a beautiful gourmet home meal for me and my friend at their home to share together, when this was their night. This was their night that they could have had just with themselves. They chose to share that with us. And I feel like they're true leaders in the community of being not just artists, but they're being role models. They're true bodhisattvas too. And this is what it showed for me being with them, to be in their home. And I did already trumpet, their vision of Cosm and going around the world and doing what I do. But to actually be there, this is a point that I really want to make. The point, the physically being there bit. You can listen and listen to the podcast, listen to different things, and you are a part of it then as well. But when you're physically there, there's something that's happening where our eons, where our energies are interlocking and connecting and enforcing each other in a way that's so important. And I think going to sacred sites, going to powerful places, you take that on with you. It's like there's something that attaches itself to you. And if you do it with intention, wow, there's a lot. There's yeah, it's powerful medicine. I really believe that. So to continue with my art education, because this weaves into where I was just now in New York with Alex and Allison. In high school, I had a teacher, an art teacher. His name was Hikaru, a Japanese fantastic realist. And he opened my eyes to many different artists. I don't think I paid attention so much. I was probably more interested in doing various other things, writing notes to friends and doing whatever. But drawing was one of my great passions, and he showed works of Ernst Fuchs. Have any of you out here heard of the artist Ernst Fuchs? Couple hands. So this man is actually, he's 82 now, and he's a Viennese artist. He was born in 1930 in Vienna. And he's one of the godfathers of the visionary art movement, for sure. And he's one of the most unrecognized in many ways, too, because of lots of little intricacies. And these intricacies are, you know, there's so many things that happen in life. You know, you got family, you got this, you got all these different things. A manager that thinks you should do that or do this. But his production and what he has done, he's a true Renaissance man. He has 17 children. I don't know if that means he's a Renaissance man or not, but he has thousands of paintings and sculptures and architectures and music and he's been a great inspiration for many artists, including Alex Gray, Robert Venosa. I imagine some of you know who Robert Venosa is. Also studied with Ernst Fuchs in the 70s. And Ernst Fuchs brought back this medium, this technique called the Misch technique, which is an early Renaissance method of painting that is about layering the paint and building up an underpainting using egg tempera and white pigment and painting basically the skeleton of the painting and all the values through painting the light. And then you glaze with thin glazes of fine oil paint on top. And then you keep working this in layers. The egg tempera, the water-soluble paint, and the oil-based paint, you'd think they shouldn't work, but they do. And this is a beautiful, beautiful technique that's not taught anymore. So this is something that's being passed down, started with Ernst Fuchs again, and he's taught many, many people. And this is, Robert Venosa has taught this, Phil Jacobson. There's many different people out there doing these workshops that are in a setting of, you know, it's 20 people at the most, very intimate. And I think it's about so much more than just painting. And these things are transformational experiences. Because people that are drawn to these workshops aren't just drawn to the technique, which in of itself is, no matter what you're going to do with it, I think is very important to know. It's a lovely tool. But it's more what this is attracting through Ernst Fuchs, Alex Gray, Robert Venosa, you know, and all these people that are also talking about the meaning and the purpose behind the art. You know, this is the actual content of a lot of their work is in the lineage of a lot of the great, the surrealists, of the Mannerists. There's a whole lineage that goes back very far. Alex Gray traces it back to cave painting and the imaginary worlds. It's bringing the imaginary worlds onto the canvas and in a format to communicate that. And now we have computers and we have all these incredible programs to explore these worlds even more. Andrew Jones, who's a good friend of mine, and he's the one that started Fractal Nation. If any of you know his work, I would really. He's pushing the boundaries in an incredible way. He does a performance called Phaedroid that he paints on a Wacom kind of tablet and projects onto his wife, who's a dancer, Phaedra, and they do this performance called Phaedroid. There is a performance. There'll be a couple performances here at Burning Man, and if you get a chance and you happen to be there, keep an eye out for it. So going back to this lineage a little bit, I was asked to. Well, I had the option in high school to go to a $40,000 art school. Chicago and New York were two options, and they had accepted me, but it didn't seem right to me. I was a little bit like, it just seemed weird. Like, how am I going to go to a school like this and pay all this money and then it just didn't make sense. To me, and have to pay all this back through doing paintings and God knows what. It just didn't make sense. And another opportunity came up for me, and this was one of Ernst Fuchs's sons, Michael Fuchs, invited me to come to Austria to do an apprenticeship. And this apprenticeship was something like the old masters did, and it was a 2-year commitment. And I was the only person that he ever did this with. And my parents had to agree to pay for 2 years of food and board, and I had to be on my own. He didn't want to have anything to do with me besides showing up at his studio at 9 o'clock in the morning and leaving at a certain time. And he was incredible because he really stuck to the program. And this program was to teach me to paint what I saw, what I could see, to paint this physical world and give me the tools to then go further. He wasn't interested in influencing the content, And then I got this opportunity. He introduced me then to his father, Ernst Fuchs. And he, at the end of this whole this apprenticeship, he introduced me with the best marks, with the best introduction, and said he taught me everything, and he would really advise him taking me on as a paid assistant. And so when I was 21, I started working with Ernst Fuchs, and mostly throughout Europe, but I got to paint on one of his life projects, the Apocalypse in southern Austria. It's in an old Baroque church, and it's an insane project, the Apocalypse. He worked on it for almost 30 years, and many different artists worked on it. I worked on it for about 5 years with him in the summers. And so I got to work with him for 10 years as an assistant, and I lived in Austria for 11 years. And I bounced around a bit, but I was very focused there. I also had the opportunity of getting a studio in this incredible place called the WUK, Werkstätten und Kulturhaus, and it's a 12,000 square meter old locomotive factory in the middle of Vienna that is a culture house. This is what they call it, and I think it's the only one of its kind out there. I mean, there's different models that are similar to this that maybe sprouted out of the 80s, where people were squatting buildings, in communities and having this experimental self-reliance, group, community living and expressing projects. And so the VUC is something that nobody lives there, but it has over 30 studios. It has multiple alternative schools. It has the basements are filled with musicians, big concert hall, exhibition halls, restaurants. It's an incredible place, refuge for people. There's lawyers and a place where you can come if you don't have any papers. If you showed up, you escaped from Africa, you escaped from the East. There's a lot of people that end up in Austria. Austria is their first land that they come into, and they have no help. So there's a lot of social. This place was also built out of the genius of taking youth off of the streets and making programs to teach them hands-on skills of building walls, painting walls, carpentry. Those were the 3 things, and this is how they renovated this building. And these are situations that I would say are win-win-win. I like the win-win, but I like the win-win-win. And you get all kinds of good things coming out of one action, and this is what I see we're really capable of doing now with all of the things that we have available to us. So my experience being there, it was interesting because I was kind of thrust into this circle of being this kind of right-hand person for Ernst Fuchs, and I can't say I really chose it, nor would I have maybe chosen it. It was something though that happened, and it was the best thing it was the best opportunity at the time, and so I went towards that best opportunity and made the best out of it, with my full heart, which is everything that I've done, and that has in return, given me a lot. So, but through this journey working with Ernst Fuchs, I started to meet so many other artists that were seeking him, and I met artists from all over the world that would show up. Isaac Abrams from New York. So many people, and I started to realize that there was a much bigger movement out there. And that got really exciting because I felt very alone in Vienna in my generation. The art school there was something that was not very, it was very, very conceptual and very anti-traditional media. And here I was learning this like early Renaissance technique. And on top of that, I was painting with this fantastic realist. This is a group of them. They're called the Fantastic Realists. Hundertwasser, Ernst Fuchs, Arik Brauer. There's about 5 of them. And they all came out of Vienna in the late 1940s, around the time when the war was ending. And I had a really hard time integrating in Vienna, finding other young people that felt in a similar way as I did and could understand what I was doing and who I was working with. So I had a battle. I was hanging out with the electronic music kind of crew. Those were like my buddies. And some of them thought it was pretty cool because it was kind of different what I was doing. But nobody was quite sure what to do with it. And I'd heard about Burning Man at the time, for sure. I'd heard about Burning Man in about 97. But I was always over there in the summers. So it was kind of this distant thing that was happening and wasn't quite sure how to integrate into. But through meeting these other artists and these artists in the U.S., I started to make this connection again with my roots of where I came from and connecting with the West Coast. And this West Coast tribe that has been going pretty strong for a while, they invited me in, and I kind of got a front row ticket, like right from the get-go, because of working with Ernst Fuchs. It was like, wow, like he was this god from over there, and I was like, really? Most of the people that I know over here, like, you don't want to mention his name because they're not. It was very strange, like how the politics within the art movement. And to me, I was like, what does any of this matter, really? I mean, shouldn't we be talking about what we're doing? And to me, it was very frustrating to go to a lot of the galleries in Vienna and to have it to be so distant, to be so far removed from an immediate understanding. And it doesn't have to be immediate. Some things need a certain degree of discovery. But I really think that things should be, not should be, that's not a good way to put it, but I like things that I can, that will speak to me and are made to speak to me in a way that I can interact with it. And there's so much mystery that is also important with the arts. And if you go with me to a museum, I'm just going to be googly-eyed over everything because I kind of like the diversity of creative expression. But I still more and more now with my own work, I'm very interested in there being it being accessible to a much grander and broader public. This is where getting out of the gallery system, getting out of the museums, and let's turn the museums into temples. I think the new museums are going to be temples, and also bringing art into the public space, art into how do you bring this into even on labels, on wine bottles, on whatever. I see the visual language and the knowledge of what it can do, and that collaboration. I'm interested in this collaboration because I'm interested in what can we do to wake people up, to turn people on, and that's. I wouldn't still be doing what I'm doing if it weren't for people telling me that it's turning them on. Because for one thing, I'm getting something out of it for sure. Like, it's an experience that's kind of like this never-ending, like, perpetual thing that is like painting. Should I ever stop painting? I don't know why I would ever stop painting because it is, it's magic. It's magic. It's magic running straight through my hand onto this canvas, and it can be anything. And when you start to realize that pressure and that, like, that can be almost too much. It makes you just want to sit down there and just look at that white canvas. And so I fully understand artists and people that are like, let's just enjoy the simplicity of the blank canvas and dream. This is about dreaming. What can we do? What can each of us do to evoke the dream, a deeper dream in another? And so now I'm not just painting, I'm talking about it. And one of the things that I'm really interested in talking about is the future and something that I see coming. And I see something coming that is so beautiful and it's so magnetic and it's so filled with light that it could potentially really be one of the big game changers on this planet. And I don't think there's going to be any political movement. I don't think there's going to be any current religious movement. I don't think there's going to be any one person or that's going to make this happen. And I don't think that's anything that already exists. It's actually about bringing together all the things that do exist into a vehicle of transformation, an umbrella, creating an umbrella for the mushrooms to pop out, where you don't have to be afraid anymore of ridicule, or in science, in the sciences and technology and all these amazing inventions that have been pushed down because of powers that be for so long. It's time for these things to come forth. And the thing is the powers that be, that power structure doesn't actually, I've been told by certain people that I think know a few things or two, that they actually don't have a hold like many of us think anymore. They don't. The thing is the power structure is so disseminated now into so many different fields. Huh? It's crashing. It's cracking. The thing is this it's already happening, or it has already happened. And so I think we need to be as loud and clear and exposing that this truth to get this fear issue out of the way. People are so ingrained with fear. Our media and the way that information is given to people is horrific. I mean, I grew up without television, and I never had a television, and so that was never really a part of my life. But I'm around it in airports, I'm around it in different places, and I am always so shocked, And then also being around some people, friends, people, that live with it on all the time. How many people out there have that in the background that have to sleep with it? There's a lot of these things that are okay. It's there. It's okay. We don't need to label it as bad. That's a really important thing. This is where the Occupy movement, incredible, right? Incredible, linking people all over the world. Thank you, Internet, too. Linking people and standing up and saying, this is not right. This is something here is not, let's expose this. This isn't right. But I see this next step is actually focusing on what is right and what is happening. And this is the trick. This is the diversion. This is the prank, maybe, in a sense, because it has a little bit to do with trickery. It has a little bit to do with the fool almost, But this is where I see the deepest wisdom right now, and I feel like it's not something that you're trying to tell somebody else this is right or wrong. It's just saying, look, isn't this fun? Isn't this exciting? Doesn't this make you feel good? Doesn't this make you feel alive? And places like this where we're coming together with the art, the music, the information, where we're sharing all of these things. This is the biggest turn on, right? I mean, to me, this is the biggest turn on, is like having the diversity and genius of humankind to be around it. And when I get to see one avatar after the next, all of you are avatars. I mean, especially if we make it all the way out here, we sure as heck believe in something too. And so there's even more specifically, there's a vision that I've been working on, and it's just planted itself into me sometime, maybe when I was a kid and I was in my mama's belly and she was listening to Cat Stevens and the Peace Train. But I don't know. I mean, it's come up over years and different times. But a friend of mine and I were hanging out in Vienna last October. He's back there, and we got to talking, and something clicked. Something clicked for both of us. We started talking about this, and we were like, "Wow, maybe this is really, really, really something that's going to happen." And so more specifically, it's about taking a journey around the world. Taking kind of like something that's happening here, a little bit of this, a little bit of the World Fair, a little bit of the essence of all the greatest movements that have ever happened, liberation movements in history. There's going to be another big one, right? And we're in it right now. I think this is a big one. But there's another one coming that's going to connect the communities, the tribal communities of this world. And we're doing it, but I see like a perpetual voyage happening that can really, really bring it to the people. It's about bringing it to the people and inviting participation. Participation, education, action. And it's very, we're here at Burning Man, we build, we put a lot of work and sweat into being here, and then we party. This is what this is going to be too, but this is going to be more like permanent infrastructures, going through communities and building gardens, working with schools, building new schools, cob buildings, showing people, giving them tools also that they can work with when we leave, because you don't just come to town, throw a huge spectacle, and then leave everybody just like, what do we do now? I would like to just see empowered people. So it's this journey of regeneration and a journey of healing, symbolic. Symbolic things have a lot of power just by saying them. I mean, some of you may know about the Ho'oponopono. I love you, I'm sorry, I forgive you, and thank you. And by just saying these things and meaning them, something is happening. There is healing happening. And so I see this journey could happening on trains, happening on big vehicles, it's a migratory process, getting on big ships, using containers to transport lots of things, laboratories, we have Tesla coils, all kinds. Like, I see this journey as being the cutting edge of technology, and also showcasing the genius of our history from all over the world, using nomadic structures from all of the great cultures, and honoring our past and going forward in our future in a way of empowering the little ones, all the way up to the grandparents and the people that are in nursing homes that are twiddling their thumbs. Hey, we can activate each other. People want to be a part. And this is what I'm so, like, this turns me on more than anything. And this has given me more of a purpose to paint. So when Barbara Marx Hubbard, some of you may know of her, she was in the movie Thrive and The Secret, and she's on the Evolutionary Council, and one of the most inspiring women that I know of, speaking and doing incredible work. She gave a talk at Lightning in a Bottle in a few months ago. And I got to be there, and she asked everybody, well, what are you really doing? We all know something's happening, but what are you doing for this? What are you doing now, and what do you want to do? And she got people to stand up and say what they were doing. And I got to stand up, and all I wanted to do was talk about the train. But then she was like, okay, this is a great idea, but what are you doing now? What are you physically doing? And I was like, well, I'm painting it. And so that's my contribution right now. I talk about it, I paint about it. And I feel like this is, through talking about it, what I'm doing is I'm sowing seeds. I'm sowing seeds and I'm giving it out. To me, I don't own this. This is something that came to me. I see it, I feel it, and every time I talk about it and think about it, it pulls me up into its little rainbow cloud. That I can't pull down. It's like completely of its own nature, So to me, like when I talk to people, I say this is something that I like to daydream about. I like to think about before I go to sleep. I like to talk about it because it makes me feel so good. And it's not that I'm just living in the future. It's because when I get in that state of feeling and seeing this journey, and how many billions of people could get on board with this and realize that they're the majority and they have a choice and they are empowered and they can follow their dreams, that they're not alone. They're not alone in front of their computers discovering these things. They are maybe right now, but we're out there. And we're here, like the people that are coming to Burning Man, we're a part of this. We have an incredibly important role when we go back out into the world. And this is something that is sometimes daunting and sometimes difficult to integrate. But we're ambassadors. If you're a Burning Man once, you're an ambassador as far as I'm concerned. And so, no matter where you are, you get into a state of of sharing. You know, you don't always have to share, but even just the way you look sometimes, or the smile you give somebody, or how you treat somebody. This is how it's happening. And I feel like I've got this golden trumpet now, and I get to run around with it and tell everybody, I got some good news, really good news. Just keep doing what you're doing. You know, it's not, you don't have to change anything, really. Just like, keep going, keep doing it. And like, dream. I feel like this dream space is the most important. And I also have a little poem that I want to read. And this is something that I've been reading along the way. The past 3 months I've been on tour. And this is 2012. I didn't expect this, but it's something that happened. You know, as things do, if you're open and you're flexible, the universe will point you in all kinds of directions. And I've been on this really cool tour that led me. I was at the Boom Festival. I don't know if any of you have heard about this a few weeks ago in Portugal. And I also taught a painting workshop in Italy at an eco village right on the border to France on the Mediterranean. And incredible people from all over the world came together for 3 weeks, and we got to paint and talk and go super deep into all of these topics and empowering each other, you know. It's like, and we got to visit Dom and Her. I don't know how many of you have heard about Dom and Her. This is an incredible community that has the temples of humankind that they dug underground and as a secret. And now people can visit it. They made it as a secret to avoid judgment and from the government and the locals, you know, thinking that this was a sect and, you know, scary people doing scary things. Quite the contrary. I mean, the work that they have made there is absolutely incredible in their community. And I think there's over 6,000 people that are actually citizens of Dom and Her now. I think around 2,000 people actually live there. There's communities all over the world, and there's this network that is undeniably like surfacing. It is happening all over the world, and because of what I am doing and my paintings, because I paint about it, people write to me quite often, and I've become one of the nodes. Maybe I'm not in one location. I'm one of the moving nodes. There's some of us that are building the physical nodes. There are some of us that are connecting the nodes. And they're these little light beams. We're creating this light network. And this is the title of my talk, the vision mapping for the golden era. I thought I came up with it kind of probably like 4 o'clock in the morning when I was in Italy teaching, and just like, you know, hardly could I imagine what I was going to talk about at Burning Man. But I mean, in essence, just give me a microphone now and I'll just go off, because I've got so many good things I feel like to share. And it's to me, it's the linking together of my story, you know, of like all these different patterns that have happened in my life that I get to look back on now and I'm incredibly grateful for, and get to speak out now in a role of sharing and inviting you to also look at the patterns in your life, because there are lots of them if you look for them. And the more you get into that state, too, of like, what do I really want? What is my deepest heart's desire? Then it'll come to you. It'll just start coming to you. And the law of attraction, I don't know how many of you are familiar with that, but the law of attraction is something that it works. I know it works. It's something that you have to experience and experiment with. But it's very much I think part of the transition that we're going into, where the transparency is becoming very transparent. The walls are breaking down between this veil of separation, and it needs people to know this, realize it, support it, and support the others. I feel like there's a time, I don't know what's coming. We talk about 2012, what's going to happen at the end of 2012. I know just as well as you do. I would like to see a vibrational shift. that would be the best thing. Maybe a vibrational shift that we wake up and our hearts are connected again, our hearts and our minds, and connected to the great heart, or we realize that we actually are. I think that it's possible, and this is what I'm rooting for. And if not that, then as well, what about the and? This is something that I've also gotten really into for a while, is like the and. Not either or, and. How can we do it all? And I love to surround myself with people that do it all, and they blow my mind. I've got a couple friends out there, actually multiple ones, that just are some of the most inspiring people to me, because they don't stop at anything. They just go for it. And we can and we do this together. We inspire each other to go forward and to believe. What can we believe in again? Bring back meaning. So why does visionary art matter? I think a large amount of visionary art is a word in general that is very, very large, and I think everything fits into in a lot of ways, or many things can. But the visionary art the definition that I see it as now, is something that is very, very loaded with a sacred message, with a lineage too of sacred geometry, of things, of our commonalities, of awaking the spirit within. And it's medicine. It's something that's also not necessarily, you don't need to understand necessarily. It's something that actually is speaking to your genetic code. And this is where my paintings, wherever they've landed around here, the prints. So I paint the egg a lot. And I'd like to say this real quick before I end here. The egg is a very important symbol for me, and it was brought to me about 6 years ago in a painting that I titled Dreams. And it was a kind of a real automated painting when I took myself on a vision quest to Bali, Indonesia for 2 months, just with a box of paints and my paintbrushes. And the first painting that I did there was this piece that I allow a lot of my pieces to just start on their own, and work with my feeling of which colors I'm going to choose, and try to really stay attentive to the process. And it's a very exciting and kind of dangerous sometimes, because anything you do can change the entire world, right? But it's also incredibly exciting if you open up to that experience. And this painting turned into a self-portrait of me sleeping, and out of the sky came this rainbow serpent, and in its mouth it was holding an egg. And it just happened. It literally happened. I mean, I did paint it for sure, but it was something that happened. I didn't have the idea and then paint it. And then when I saw it, there's this moment, it's about 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning when everybody else is asleep, and you actually have the time where all the non-physicals and whoever else is hanging out, all the angels and guides, are just right there at your back, and you can hear them better. I sat there and I was like, oh my God, I could probably be painting eggs for the rest of my life. And I probably will, because as it has unfolded, it's the most reduced organic form. And it's this symbol that is so profoundly a part of our existence that I feel like it's a doorway, it's a portal, it's of infinite possibility. And so this became this shape that I could put anything into. And I hope to someday, and soon enough, I'll start on this series of painting them like doorways, the size of doorways. And in an interesting synchro-mystic way, I feel them very resonant with Alex Gray's Sacred Mirrors work. And I feel like the shape of the egg is something that is actually able to penetrate and go and speak to our cellular memory. And it's maybe even the shape of the wormhole. All of these things. And so this is a beautiful, for me to be, for the theme of Burning Man this year being fertility, and it being 2012, I really, really dig it. Like, I think that it's a time of rebirth. And it's a time that we really, it's a time to dream now more than ever. And talk about it as much as you get out of the boring conversations and just get into something that's really exciting. And you can do this in most conversations, just weave a little bit in a different direction. And I mean, I do this with the train all the time. You guys can talk about the train too if you want. Trains and boats and this migratory movement. It's happening. And I have actually there's this little think tank that we have over at Fractal Nation, and I would love to invite all of you to come over. I'm actually kicking off the speaker series at 5 o'clock at Fractal in a couple hours as well. And I don't know if you want to come listen to me talk even more. It'd be somewhat along similar lines, but different space, different words. But the think tank is very much inspired by this space of conversation and dreaming, and that everybody has a place at the table. So we have a round table that's in the shape of an egg. And it's a place that we have a few collaboration paintings going on. We've got one for everybody to paint on. We've got a vision board. I don't know if that's all set up quite yet. Chalkboard and all these kinds of fun things. And so I'd really love to know what you would like to offer. I mean, you guys want to get on the train too? Like, this is where we're starting kind of like a little campaign here. And it's happening very organically. So we did just buy earthvoyage.org. We're going to be building that over time now, and nonprofit and all kinds of different things are being born at the same time. And I would love for you all to be a part of it and be a part of the puzzle, And I feel like you all are. So I'm going to read this short little poem by my friend Layla Love. And I see some dear friends that just showed up. Thank you, Jay Brave, for being here. And this is by my friend Layla Love, and she has a vision with the boats. I have this vision with the trains, but she has a vision with think tank boats. And so we're linking up in this journey along with many other people. And this is a beautiful little poem that she wrote. The darkest hour is always before the dawn. We have the honor of living through the dawning of a new era. It is indeed a time of golden crisis, in which the intolerable must not be tolerated. You are the solution. You are a beacon of light, waiting to be turned on. You are the torchbearer. Ignite your golden core. Peace begins within. Thank you. And I don't know, do we have time for some questions or anything? Yeah? Is there any questions? Do you want my...
Amanda, in beautiful talk. Thank you very much. It put me into a reverie there. In your paintings, I've been noticing over the years that you have this wonderful way of showing breath through the nose, through the mouth, and then the breath that comes through sort of the face, the hair. How does breath factor into your philosophy, your artistic philosophy?
Well, I think it's a very natural thing that is around us all the time. And this energy is more, this energy, this connecting of things, as I feel like where that comes from, is the desire to weave it together. And so this breath, this connecting through breath, through the third eye, into the cosmos and down into our core, it's about translating in some way this feeling and this desire to see past the density of maybe not being able to see the breath so much. So for me, when I paint, I really enjoy painting things that I imagine to be there and I can feel and I saw as a child. I saw all the colors and all these things, and I remember that very well. And I see it now through painting. So it's something that I feel that it's there. It's just about mapping it, bringing it forward, and it's something that is very healing, I think, too, to remind us about this breath and the grounding aspect of it. Remembering to breathe. I have to remind myself to breathe when I paint all the time. I'm like in another world. Yeah. Anybody else?
Yesterday I was at Center Camp and I overheard my first conversation for this burn in which someone was sharing their playa name, and it's Snake and Eggs.
Snake and eggs. That's sweet.
So my question is, I'm not an artist. I know that like fear can be instilled in artwork. Like you can look at art and become fearful based on the imagery that's shown. But what imagery or how would we instill imagery in artwork that has a healing effect? So it de-fears. Like what would that look like?
That's a really lovely question. I feel like it has a lot to do with the intention and the state that the artist is in when they're creating. And that is that language is in that, those feelings, those emotions, those intentions are all in the lines, in the colors, in all the choices, because you're constantly making choices when you're painting. And I think there's something about spectral colors and harmonizing with color, how color vibrates, how composition works, how you use light and dark, very fundamentals of the visual world. And through using these tools, you can create a very clear message. So are you making something that's a crystalline structure? Are you making something that's very dense? Are you making, all these different things? And it has very much to do with the intention of the artist. And I think that feeling is then transported. I really believe it has a lot to do with the intention. And the technical skill behind it is something that can then be looked at from various perspectives. There's a lot of art that I feel like is done because it just needs to get out. People need to get this out. There's something they don't know any other way to express it, and that's incredibly important, too. I'm really interested in just being like, well, if you've gotten past that bit, well, there's a lot more work to do. Like let's start painting things that are really messages and signposts for the future. Take on that role. There's always a deep personal process that's a part of it too. I mean, to me, the deep personal process is also pushing through the boundaries of also my limitations of where I was like, I don't know what to do with that. You give up. Well, sometimes you got to admit you give up. You put it aside, for a while, and you look at it, in dark light in a mirror every now and then. You don't paint on it for 5 years. There's a whole process that happens with paintings. They're their own creatures. Listening to them. This is something that Ernst Fuchs said to me once. He's like, you have to learn to listen to the painting. And I really believe that. It's much less of something that I am necessarily having to say. But now it's changing a little bit because I see a vision that's so clear. I'm wanting to integrate that a lot more with the intuitive process, and then also with things that I feel like I know and am tuning into. Yeah. So I don't want to let this go on for too long. Is there anybody else want to say something? One more? Is anybody? Happy burn, everybody. Thank you.